very simply, there's rice eating and there's roti. So the thing is that that split of, coming from Bengal, my mother, a rice eating, family, my father's family, mainly eating roti and any kind of naan, but not rice at all. The kind of food they ate was completely different. So this was a huge advantage that, because in India, especially that generation, my parents are in their 70s, it was always mostly arranged marriages. And it was people who came from the same area, spoke the same language, ate very similar food. But this was dramatically different. My father's Rajput heritage, very different, and very strong Western UP, food habits. My mother, very strong Bengali, but also very strong Bihari, tradition. My nani was from Bihar. And, Bihari Muslim food is amazing, very, 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 delicately spiced. And so all of this allowed me to try a kind of range of cuisine. Plus, we lived in Hyderabad for 5 years. I have very strong, connections with Hyderabad. So it allowed me to try everything. I understood the difference of regionality very well because, when you only eat a particular kind of food, then everything else looks, but I understood the subtlety of difference between, the regions. And that allowed me to, I think, appreciate food more, understand how important it was to keep true to the roots of dishes. So this is how my heritage helped me, because I immediately tasted, even in the dal, the difference of the region, and who was, the tempering and the baghar being different. So all of this kind of just made me more aware of the differences between regions and appreciate and really enjoy these differences as well. Well, I mean, the thing is that it wasn't that I started off. I mean, I can easily say that now, but that wasn't the case. That I wanted to have an all-woman kitchen, an all-female kitchen. It wasn't that. I needed people to come and help me cook who cooked like me, who were people who understood estimate, who had learned through oral history, who learned from their mothers and grandmothers, who learned through observation, who would not ask me measurements and scales, who didn't learn to cook in culinary school. So the reason why I ended up with housewives and women cooking was because they understood instructions the way that my mother would instruct me, thoda sa this, thoda sa that, no kind of precise thing, but all about, layering and understanding, techniques of cooking, which, considering the kind of difference in the background between me and the women who became part of Darjeeling Express is interesting, because many of them had never tasted the food that I cooked. But there is a similarity. The roots of our style of cooking, whether you're rich or you're poor, or whether you only eat vegetarian, or whether you only eat this, or which region you come from, there is a technique to cook which is very, very delicate, very nuanced, very with a lot of patience and love, which is a style of our cooking of every mother, every grandmother. And I think that's what united us all. And this is how we all became a team and worked together. Not because we had a project in mind or that we all knew this food. They had never eaten this kind of food, but they could understand what I was doing. And they followed my directions, and all completely non-verbal. I wasn't explaining anything to them. They just watched and they did it. So this is how this whole team came together. And I think that, these women have really come a long way from, being, just service providers, which is what our women are. We are never thanked. We are never celebrated. Otherwise, how is it that in every South Asian kitchen that you go to, it is a woman cooking? Every South Asian origin restaurant you go to, whether it's in the East or the West, it is a man cooking. Yeah. We lost our power. We lost our authority. Our food is only good enough when it's free. Our food is only good enough in a domestic situation. Somehow we are not seen as professional, sophisticated, nuanced, elevated. And this is really about gender bias and how people see women and men differently. That we are seen as unskilled. Cooking is not seen as a skill, whereas, the moment men cook, they're seen as skilled, they're seen as artists, they're seen as, magicians who recreate dishes. And for women, it is about this is domestic work. You're cooking for that. So I think that's the kind of the big thing for me, that, I wanted to tell the story differently. And this is really why I'm here. I'm really trying to make people accept the fact that we have not been honored. Not just my generation, I even speak for the women in their graves, that we never honored our nanis and dadis. We never honored those people. We took their food for granted. And I see this as a political project. I never ever call Darjeeling Express a business. It's not. We're not in this to make money. We're not in this for fame and glory. We're in this because we are here to make a political point, that you need to see us. You need to acknowledge us. You need to respect us. Us, as in I'm the face of every woman who cooked and was never acknowledged. I'm the face of every woman who served the family and ate last. And no one came to check what food was left for her. I'm a face of every woman who's been othered, who has made to feel that they're not adequate. So we represent something much deeper than just who we are. And, you know, having a platform, allows me to talk about this. It's never ever been about me. I know that's what people see. But when people talk to me, and every platform I have and every interview I have, I always talk about the silent, women who will never get on stage. I know I'm on stage, so I speak. I speak on their behalf. I speak because I have an opportunity to get on stage and the spotlight is on me. But when I stand on stage and I have the spotlight on me, I see in the audience, in the darkened shadows, every woman who should have been on stage, but she never got there. So it is a very, very deeply held political project. It is about my desire to see women raised to the pedestal that they all deserved, but never got. Paratha, I love parathas. I love, and this maybe is my father's side of the thing, but I love, eating paratha with, even just a fried egg, or with sugar, or with honey.
Yes.
So that's my kind of really kind of comfort dish to have. It's, there's something that I feel a lot better after I eat it. I think it is really, ammu ka haath ka maza. There is something haath ka maza jo hota hai, which is, unique to the person who has made it. And nothing that someone else makes of that same dish will taste the same. So, whatever Ammu has made, even if I don't know, I would recognize on the table that my mother has made it. And this is unka haath ka, thing that I can always pick up, that unke haath mein jo maza hai, that makes that dish very unique. The most important thing is that people now you see a lot more women, you see a lot more women who look like me and you, who are on television and things like that. Don't get deceived thinking that this is what will happen to you overnight. You must start small. Do not be overambitious, because this is how you may not succeed. If you really want to make a success of your life, work very, very hard, make allies, work in teams, and the biggest thing is, you will not progress by dragging other women down, by dragging other people down. This is, there is a perception that this is a cutthroat industry, that you need to be ruthless and you need to be, competitive and aggressive. No, I am a living example of someone where the good person has won. And I think it's very important that, you see not just women, but you also see men as your allies, empathetic men who will, support you, will stand by you. This is not an us and them, so, my greatest allies, are of all kinds of backgrounds. This is not about race, it's not about color, it's not about gender. I know that the message I'm giving out is always about the female empowerment, but I have not got here. I stand on the shoulders of, women who grew up in abject poverty, never got educated. Today, I am the face, but I stand on their shoulders. They are the ones who have lifted me where I am. The women in my kitchen, many of them never ever imagining a time where they could be financially free, where they didn't have to live with abuse and oppression. Now, in liberating them, in breaking their chains, I have become successful. If you see success just in terms of what has happened with you, it's a very, very shallow and a very narrow way to look at success. So for people who want to get in the food industry, please look beyond yourself, look beyond your own ambition, and look beyond money. Money should never be your bottom line, because money will come and money will go, but the legacy you leave will be something that will stay on. I'm not taking money to my grave. So I think this is like, how I would like to end by telling people that, if you're ambitious and you think this is a way to become famous and wealthy, you're in the wrong profession. I should have stayed on as a lawyer. I would have been wealthy, super wealthy, but I've chosen a different path. And the whole point of cooking is about service. It's about compassion and service. And it's important to have these values. It kind of sustains you in the tough days. Not every day is easy. I mean, I've been through a very tough year. Not every day is easy. You need to have something greater which drives you than just the ambition of making money or becoming famous. They will never stand by you in those dark days. You need to have a desire to do something greater. And I think that's my advice to people who want to get into the food industry. I couldn't do it.